Friends, I want to talk about something. Let's talk about the leptin-melanocortin pathway. What is that? Well, it's a pathway um, behind your eyes to your brain. It is regulated by your circadian rhythm, so it is heavily tied to light and dark cycles. Um, what happens whenever this pathway is destroyed, right? Well, first let's talk about how you can destroy it. Well, in the name leptin melanocortin pathway, there's melanin in it, okay? Melanin is a black substance that absorbs all spectrums of electromagnetic radiation. All right, you find it in your skin, you find it in the interior of your body. Many people might not realize that. Um, but what does it do? So it protects you. It started off as a way to protect um, life, right, on Earth whenever it was hit, whenever it didn't have such a robust atmosphere. What do we use it for? So we absorb um, UV radiation or any type of radiation, really. It could hold this charge and charge separate metals and ions and different things. And this allows us to create all of the downstream um, hormones, regulatory um, things we need to for survival. Okay, um, that's what it does. Appetite suppression. Leptin is the hormone that triggers from your fat to tell your body how much energy you're carrying around. You know, if that's messed up, then you're not getting that signal and you're going to be hungry all the time. So how are they attacking this? Well, like I said, it's tied to circadian health. Now, if you are actively blocking out the sun in your life, if you are wearing sunglasses all the time, if you're wearing long sleeve shirts and pants, never getting any sun on your bare skin, you're not catching the sunrise, you're inside in the evening, not catching any sun in the evening, putting suntan lotion on, pretty much every centralized thing that doctors and people tell you about is ways that they're blocking it. Okay, now the downstream effects is that you are dependent. Okay, so GLP-1 drugs, you know, you can't figure out why you're so hungry because your signaling's busted. Okay, you start breaking down the melanin because you're not renovating anymore, you're not using sunlight anymore to renovate your melanin. Well, then it starts to decay, it starts to break apart, and you start to increase entropy. Well, increasing entropy means you could be a young person, you could be 20, 30, 40 years old and have the interior of a 80-year-old. So just because the outside of you looks like a young person, the inside is a totally different story. That's why aesthetics is not health, my friends. So what happens here? You miss the signaling over and over and over. Your body can't get into a repair mode at night with darkness because we're using phones, we're using TVs, we're using all of these lights in our face, which is the wrong signaling, because the signaling from these screens are signaling to you it's noon, so your body has no idea. And people always wonder why they can't sleep at night, why they have messed up hormones, why. And then you go to a centralized doctor, and guess what? They're going to put you on some pills. They're going to put you on something that's not going to work, friends. It keeps you on this hamster wheel. And so what evolves from this? What evolves from actively missing out on sunlight is all of these pathways start to degenerate, and you end up not creating hormones like serotonin and dopamine, and then you're left with only one decision. You have to chase it. You have to replace it. You're not getting it naturally from sunlight. You're not getting it naturally from the cleavage of palm seed that is created via circadian rhythm and sunlight signaling. And so, yeah, now you're addicted to the poker machine. Now you're addicted to the drugs. Now you're addicted to the sex or the pornography. You're addicted to the dopamine rush because you're not getting it from nature, friends. And this is how you end up in the loop. And guess what? Now you're going to the doctor. You're on SSRIs. You're on this next medication. They can't figure out what's going on, right? You can't sleep. You can't, you're hungry. You can't manage your weight. It's all the same play, my friends. Realize this. You have to start to think on your own. You have to decentralize your life. The centralized system is built and created to keep you in it. You are the reason why you're still in it. You have to think outside the box, friends. Do your own research. Stay feeling thoughtful.